The time is 3:15 p.m. over here in Kenya. So we're doing the stream, man. You got this, I got you. Thank you for coming in. There's a video over here which I want to stream.
Stream Elements said Agent Jefferson is now live. Streaming just chatting. Come here, let's do the stream.
Probably clicked on this video and thought to yourself, why in the world?
This is a 22-year-old boy living in his basement with parents. Let's see the advice.
Would anybody want to listen to a 22-year-old loser? And I don't really have a good answer to that. I don't. But there are a few things that I thought I'd want to share and put out there on the internet. Observations of mine about life that I feel like, in my experience, has been true. And the first one, and by far and away the most important one, if you take nothing else from this video, please let it be this. Your life is built based off your beliefs and identity.
Yeah. Your life is built based on dreams and
everything that you think turns into fruition, turns into reality. You have to operate from conviction in life. And you can't trick your brain. If you don't believe something, your subconscious knows that you don't believe it, and it won't turn into reality. What I've realized is that confidence comes after action, not before. So you really do have to go out there and just try things, regardless of how you feel. Because the truth is, there will never be a perfect time. If the harvester waits for the perfect season to grow crops, it will never harvest. Right? There's never going to be a perfect time. It's like this, like when you had your first kiss, you were like super freaking nervous. And although obviously everyone, like you wanted to do it, you were so nervous that in the moment you were like, it would just be easier if I just didn't, right? But you had to take the leap of faith anyways. You bit the bullet and you did it. And then in the end, it ended up being amazing. Or maybe it didn't end up being amazing, but it was a learning experience. And then in the future, it was better, right? And that's the same thing with life. But everything stems from your identity. You're the captain of your ship and the master of your fate. Life doesn't happen to you, it comes from you. I think that was a quote that I heard from Timothy Chalamet, and I love it. It's so true. There's a quote that I've said over and over again on many of my videos where I say life regresses to the mean, and the mean is your identity, who you truly believe you are. And it's very important to understand that this affects parts of your life that you don't even comprehend, that you're not even aware of. Other people can sense how legitimate you are, like how much you believe in yourself. It's really hard to lie to someone about your conviction, like what you believe in. People can track it. They could track the BS. And so most importantly, you need to be authentic to who you are. And although like my situation, my life I haven't seen a lot of success or whatnot, I would say in the past like 5 to 6 months,
I want to be with it.
I've started to realize and build my identity to where I feel more confident and I'm actually building something. I've actually been trying something for the past few months now. And the first time I ever actually bet on myself, the start of it, I had no idea what I was doing. And then I started to get a few results and then I convinced myself, and then it changed my subconscious to where I actually believed, I had the belief that, hey, I can start doing this. And I started doing it and it started to work for me. And this can be true in any sector of your life, whether it's, pursuing your career, pursuing a significant other, in general, just trying to improve who you are and what you're capable of. Everything just stems back to belief. I've said this before, but athletes, I don't think that there's that much of a gap in skill when you get to the top percent. But the actual gap, why some perform much better than others, is that they almost operate on autopilot. Like they just believe that something's possible, and so they're able to do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like
Gotta believe.
like Messi is, what is he, 5'6", 5'6", 5'8", somewhere in there, and he is like so much better than everyone else, significantly better than everyone else. And like you would just watch him on the pitch and you'd be like, oh my gosh, like how does he do it? It's not like this dude has stronger legs. It's not like his brain operates faster than everyone else, right? He just like believes he can do it, and subconsciously that's operating his entire functionality. And then that turns into fruition on the pitch. That's why he's so good at everything that he does. And I've realized this, if you pay attention to people, the people that I'd always bet on to be successful aren't the smartest ones. They're not the best looking ones. They're not the best speakers. They're the ones that just don't second guess themselves. They just do. And those are the ones that are rewarded. And oftentimes that correlates to other things. Like oftentimes that does make them a better speaker. Oftentimes that does make them better looking, which I know sounds weird, but like they're not stressed out. And so it kind of reflects on their physical appearance. Like it's just weird how the world works. When one thing starts going away, it seems like everything starts going your way. When one thing starts going bad, it seems like everything's falling apart, right?
Yeah.
And that's just something that I've learned. Once again, if you take nothing else from this video, please let it be that. You need to establish your identity and figure out who you are. You need to actually try things in life to figure out your identity, because everything's theory until you get tested. Once you're tested, you realize, okay, this is actually where I am, and now I figure out my pain points and how I can improve. If you're just sitting at home doing nothing, then you're never going to figure that out. So figure out your identity, believe in yourself and what you're doing, and I guarantee you, you cannot lose. You will not lose.
Believe in what you're doing.
Another big piece of advice, kind of shifting gears here. I think 95% of jobs are bullshit, and they can be done in a fraction of the time. This is just what I've realized. I am not in the corporate world yet. I'm about to graduate college, but and I'm hoping that my business that I've just started here is gonna do well enough to where I don't have to go to a 9-to-5. But you know, my entire family, they all do a 9-to-5 and they work from home. And obviously I live with my folks and my siblings, and you know, everybody's just sitting at their desk, you know, typing away. They're going to these meetings and they're like, it's a bunch of fake people. Everyone's fake. Everyone has to use corporate language. Everyone has to be respectful of whatever other people have going on, even if it's, you know, dangerous or bad for them. It's exhausting to be witness to. And that's why I'm like I'm so terrified of like going into that reality. That's why I'm trying to escape it by all means. But yeah, 95% of jobs are bullshit. If you're familiar with Parkinson's law, it basically states that things will be achieved, tasks will be completed in the allotted amount of time that you give it. So like your brain, if you're like, oh, this is going to take a week to complete, it normally does take a week to complete because that is the deadline that you're giving yourself. So your brain is operating in a state where you will complete things to only be finished on that time, on that deadline. And the reality is you could probably finish things in a fraction of the time that it takes you to actually do them. And you know, it's like you're telling me that like going to 3 meetings, filling out 2 spreadsheets, responding to a few emails takes 8 hours. I don't think so. That could be done in 3, you know? So specifically like corporate America, yeah, I think that's a lot of that stuff is bullshit. Everyone's scamming. And along the lines of that, I want to say that you're not your job, man. You're not, you know, how much money you have in the bank. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not, you know, you're not your fucking khakis, that quote from Fight Club. Like people are putting their identity in literally just a means of production at the end of the day. I mean, that's what it is when you live in a capitalist society. And I made that one video where I said only a slave quantifies its existence through productivity, and that's so true. It's like, bro, I'm telling you, everyone tries to make like their identity and their status about like what they're accomplishing in their career, and then they're just like miserable because they work jobs they don't like just because they want to make a few extra dollars or have the title of banker or whatever it is, right? That stuff doesn't matter, bro. Like, live your life. I would say who you are is defined by your plan, where you're going. It's not who you've been in the past. It's not even where you currently are, bro. It's the trajectory of where you're headed. It's your ideas, your beliefs, like what you believe in. That's who I think someone truly is. That's what actually matters. You know, it's that quote from Batman by the character Bane. He's like, who you are doesn't matter. What matters is your plan. That's a terrible freaking imitation of him, but don't mind that. But yeah, it doesn't matter who you are. What matters is your plan. So where are you going? What are you doing? And society is always, and your peers, they're always going to try to, you know, judge you based off of, you know, materialistic standards. But that's all bullshit. It's fugazi, as they say. My next piece of advice is that the world is built by weirdos who don't fit in. If you study history, all the people that have made really great inventions, the Leonardo DiCaprio's, or the Leonardo da Vinci's of the world, excuse me, the Nikola Tesla's of the world, the Elon Musk of the world, people that have, you know, achieved just remarkable feats, whether for good or bad, they all were weirdos. They didn't fit in. Because by definition, if you want
Don't fit in now. Don't fit in now. Don't fit in now. Yeah.
to be exceptional, you have to be the exception. You cannot fit in. And so don't be ashamed if you don't fit in. As a matter of fact, that should be what you're aiming for. You know, when you like grow up and stuff, you're always trying to fit in with your peers in school and stuff. And that's all good and fine when you're young. But like when you're older, it's like, do you just want to, you know, disappear into a giant pile of mediocrity? You're just going to jump in the sea of mediocre people that get forgotten? You know, no. How are you watching this video right now? Are you watching it on a phone? Are you watching it on a computer? How is that designed? It was designed by a weirdo that people didn't give a shit about, that they had to go out of their way. They were trying to do something that everyone thought was impossible. And this is true with everything. All forms of technology. You know, Harrison Ford with the car and just like all these various things, like these people were weirdos. And so because of that, I admire weirdos, and I don't think you should ever be ashamed if you are a weirdo. You should actually aspire to be one of them. There was a tweet that I read once. I'm going to paraphrase it here, but it's phenomenal. This lady said, you know, it's funny that the people that are always complaining and judging others do so by the means of living an entire life that's dictated by those weirdos that they point their fingers at, right? Like, you live in a house that has air conditioning, it has plumbing, it has, you know, various different forms of technology, and all of that stuff was brought to fruition by somebody who was most likely outcasted. And so you have to learn to respect it. And yeah, don't give a shit so much about, you know, what all these people are saying or doing. Like, really just focus on you, and it's gonna pay off tenfold. I mean, I spend most of my day down here, and I just pretty much work, you know. I work, try to record videos, get that out. I got to do my regular job. It's remote. I have school, and then I'm trying to build a business, and I don't hang out with friends literally ever. So I moved out of my hometown this past summer, and then even before that, I was living in an apartment with some other people, so I wasn't living in my hometown. But it's just so fun when you just like detach from like all of that and you just do your own thing. Like, I haven't hung out with friends in maybe like 7 to 8 months, like literally at all. I don't go out like literally at all. And yeah, it's lonely, and don't get me wrong, at times it sucks, but bro, it's like there's something, it's like I'm actually building something, I'm actually doing something, and I don't get judged by anyone. It's kind of awesome. So yeah, I wish I could say I'm moving in silence, but a lot of what I do is on social media. So yeah, that ain't true for me. But depending on what you're doing, I think moving in silence is good, because you know, it doesn't, it just means that you're not going to be impacted by the opinions of others, which is, you know, almost impossible to avoid the second things go out there. Like, you think you don't care what other people think, but you low-key do. So that's my advice on that. And my next thing I want to say is that this is a quote that I heard on a Chris Williamson podcast. He said, "It's idiots all the way up. The people that are above you in life, they are no better than you. I promise you. They are not like significantly more intelligent, more talented, whatever. Like, don't get me wrong, some people are more intelligent, some people are more talented, but you know, you'll start to realize that people aren't really any different than you. They're just normal people. Recently, I had a huge creator, one of the biggest in the self-improvement space, if not the biggest. And I'm not gonna out him, but he slid into my DMs and he gave me a follow and was like talking to me, and really normal guy. Like, I was asking him for business advice. I was really normal guy, and I'm not calling him an idiot. I'm just saying, when I say idiots, like, it's just people that are no better than you. And this guy, he's only been doing it for, I think, like 2.5 years now. And I was just talking to him, and such a normal guy. It was like refreshing. I was like, oh my gosh, like, maybe I can, make a difference. Maybe I can, impact a lot of people like this guy did, because he's so normal. Like, I don't know. It's just, it seems like a far-fetched dream when you're younger to believe that you could really reach the top, because it almost seems like these people are almost gods that reach the top echelon, but it really is not true. I promise you, it really is idiots all the way up. I recently watched the movie Amadeus. Phenomenal movie if you haven't watched it. And I'm not a big movie watcher, so when I do watch anything, I make sure it's good. And at the end of it, there was Salieri, who the movie was about, him and Mozart. He basically explains that, like, mediocrity is the greatest tragedy. There is nothing more scary than mediocrity. And I don't know if I fully agree with that. I don't know if it's the greatest tragedy, but it certainly is a tragedy. And it's like, I'm horrified of being mediocre. But the reason that I bring this up is, don't listen to the crowd, because the crowd is the average, right? It is mediocrity, is the crowd. So you can't listen to conventional wisdom, because conventional wisdom is just that, it's conventional. And you want to do something unconventional. So you can't just stick to that wisdom. You have to, at some point, take a risk. Right? If you want to be great, at some point, risk has to be taken. The greatest risk that I've realized is taking no risk at all. If you just do what these people continuously are telling you to do, go to school, get an internship, land a job, try to work your way up the corporate ladder, like, all those people end up depressed and unfulfilled. So why would you try to do the same thing? No. You got to take a risk at some point, guys. But yeah, mediocrity is a tragedy. And I think it's a tragedy because everybody has the potential to be exceptional, but people aren't taking that because they've been conditioned to just live average lives and be controlled, right? You need to believe in yourself, back to the first thing that I said, and that will then lead to action being taken. And the action is where your dreams lie. Because you don't get anything unless you take action. Every time you take, there's a quote by James Clear, the author of the book Atomic Habits, where he says, every action you take is a vote for who you wish to be in the future. I love that quote. It's so true. You have to put opportunities out there in the universe, and then just hope that the universe bites. And 99% of them are going to miss, but eventually something's going to hit, and it's going to be amazing. Once it hits, it's amazing. Truly. But yeah, if you paid attention and if you look around, I've realized that there's a moral decline going on. If everyone likes you and you're doing something that everyone applauds, you don't stand for anything. It's not significant enough. In order to do anything of good merit, you're gonna get haters. Okay? That's what I've realized.
That's true.
My videos, more or less, are trying to help people or just expose the truth about society, or like, it's never to make anyone feel bad, ever. None of the videos I've ever made, whether it's on short form content or it's long form like YouTube, it's not to make anyone feel bad, ever. And yet I'll constantly get people that are just like completely shitting on me, being like, this guy's an idiot, this guy thinks he's the smartest guy in the world, which is crazy, by the way. I don't think I'm smarter than even the average person. I've said that in many videos. I don't. But anytime you speak with conviction or, have the balls to try something, people are going to shit on you. So yeah, if you're trying to do something good, people are going to hate on you. And if you're not doing anything, then people are going to be indifferent about you. They're not going to care. And you're not really taking a stand for anything if you are doing something and everyone's supporting you. You're not really taking a stand on anything here.
Yeah.
Another great piece of advice that you know, I'm not in my 30s yet, but I heard from someone is that the 30s is when you see the results of the repeated actions. Right, like in your 20s, you can have someone that's working really, really hard, and then someone who's going to the bars and is in a frat and, you know, is constantly going out and partying and stuff. And, you know, for while you're in your 20s, it's going to be hard to tell the difference between these two people. If anything, it looks like the guy that's going out it has a better life. But eventually in your 30s, that's when things catch up and you start to see, okay, this guy actually put his head down and worked. You know, and I'm only 22 saying this, but it makes a lot of sense. I can already sort of see it. I have a bunch of cousins who are now in their early 30s, and you know, I've sort of seen that, like some of them that like really put their heads down and worked are doing very well for themselves, and then the other ones that kind of just partied, they just, you know, they fell into the sea of mediocrity. You know, and it is a tragedy. Another thing that I've realized is you need to start doing things in spite of how you feel. Okay, if you don't feel up to it, you need to still put your head down and work and hold yourself to a standard, because the second that you give yourself any sort of lenience, your brain's going to take full advantage of that, and you're not going to be making anything great. You're not going to be doing anything substantial. The last point that I want to make before I close off this video is that I've realized that, you know, socializing isn't as important as they make it out to be when you're young. And when I say young, I mean in your late teens, early 20s, because if you're trying to achieve something great, you need to sacrifice a social life. For me, I didn't have to sacrifice it. I just didn't freaking have it, you know, like, especially since I moved out of my hometown, just, you know, I have friends and they just don't live near me. So I got lucky on that front. But yeah, you need to sacrifice if you want something. There's a scene from a TV show where a guy says, you want to know the best advice I learned at Harvard? In order to get something, you have to sacrifice. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the gain. Really, really straightforward, blunt advice, and it's phenomenal. It's true. You need to sacrifice. Socializing, if you want to be great, you just can't get there. Alex Corp, the CEO and founder of Palantir, billionaire, you know, not the biggest, like he's a little bit questionable in terms of his character, but from a achievement standpoint, I mean, this guy's really on top of things. You can just tell that he sacrificed a lot. He talks about it. He said, if I was going out in my 20s and had a friend group, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And he's the type of guy that's going to have a large impact on the world, whether for good or bad, we don't know, but it's true. Like you need to learn that socializing is not everything. You know, I'm constantly told, my parents, like a couple weeks ago, were like concerned. They're like, Jet, you are not doing, it's like unhealthy how you just never go out, you never do anything, you just like sit in the basement all day and you just work. And I'm like, yeah, because long term I hope to reap the fruits of my labor, you know? And maybe that's not your forte. You don't have to. If you want to be mediocre, like, I know it sounds like I was really harsh and judgmental on that, but the truth is, you do your own life, you know? It's not for me, but yeah, you can do that. And if you want to socialize, if you want to do these things, go ahead. But I think a lot of what I want to talk about on this channel is like the desire to be great and like actually achieve something. You have to understand that you can't have everything. You can't. There has to be a sacrifice made. And that's the beauty of life, is that you get to choose that sacrifice. Anyways, once again, take every single thing I just said as a grain of salt, because I am a 22-year-old loser who lives in his parents' basement, right? But thank you guys for watching.
I'll subscribe to the channel. Let's go, man. I'll be watching the videos later.
Here's the reality. Your college
That guys, is an awesome guy, man. I mean, the advice which is giving, it's crazy, man. I'm somehow true in this, like, everything I just say. Everything, man. Everything. I tell you, man. Telling you. Literally everything, never. Everything. Jet France and there's that 7 videos on. Yes. Yeah. Yes. The power of consistency. Yeah. That's so nice. That is nice. Right now I have 16 subscribers. Everything good. Yeah. So far, my growth. mm, My growth so far is I have that one over there, as you can see. Yeah, man, come up and subscribe. Let's go, man. I got you. Help me. Yeah, that's the end of the stream. Let me open up the other one. Click on Twitch. I'm closing YouTube. I think